everybody, Kristen Swart here. I wanted to hop on today and talk about parts work. So there are lots of different types of parts that we can have. The one I want to focus more on today is critters, which you will not hear a lot about in parts work, especially with internal family systems. This is where I first learned about them though. But let's go back a little bit and let's talk about different types of parts that we can have. One of them, obviously, is a little kid part. Inner child work would be how you would have heard this in the past. In internal family systems, they describe it as exiles because these are little kid parts that are the ones that are stuck in the past. You know, we've had a traumatic event happen, and so we kind of shove it down, right? We stuff all of that stuff down. We bury it. We seal it up. We don't ever want to see it again, so that we don't feel all of that stuff we felt as a kid. Not necessarily what we actually want to do with it, but it is what we do as human beings. One of the other kind of parts you would hear about in internal family systems would be what they call a manager. This type of part would be something that says a lot of, I should do this, and you should do that, and we need to do this, and we need to do that. Lots of shoulds and needs, and kind of like a task manager. They very much love getting things done, checking those checklists off. They're like, yes, this is awesome, I love this. That's that part, and it protects and keeps those exiles down by sometimes judging us or other people. One of the other types of parts that internal family systems looks at is what they call firefighters. Firefighters numb. So say there's a big, emotion fire going on. They come out with their big fire hose and just spray it all down with water, and everything kind of gets hurt in the process. So if you see people stuck in things like addiction, they would be coming from that kind of firefighter type part, just to numb all of the pain. And that's how they protect us from feeling the exile's fear and pain that's buried down underneath. They just numb it all. One of the other things that internal family systems talks about, or IFS, if you ever hear me use that term, is what they call the self, the true self, who we are at our core. And there are 8 C's, the 8 C words that they use to describe that part, and it's not really a part per se. It's like, it's us. Calm, compassionate, curious, creative, connected. Clarity is one of the other words, and there's 2 more I can't think of at the moment. And so that is what, our true self at our core of who we are. And they describe that as the part of us that has the healing capabilities and qualities to it, to help the firefighters, to help the managers, and to help the exiles. Okay, so we have all of those parts down. There's another part I would add in there of what I call the angry teen. And so exiles tend to be the underneath the sad part, and then we can have an angry teen above that that's protecting them. You can also put any emotion you want in there. Happy, sad, whatever. Anger tends to be the one that comes up the most. And so the part I want to focus on is critters, because they are not actually parts of us. They can sound like parts of us sometimes, but it's a subtle difference. The way that I learned it in IFS when I was going through that a few years ago, it's any dark, black, completely negative, no light, no redeeming qualities whatsoever about these things. They're not a part of us, but somehow they become attached, or attached is about the best word I can figure out to describe those. And so the work that we can do around those is figuring out how to unattach them from our parts and from us. Sometimes it even is physical. It might be like, I feel something attached here, and we can kind of delve into that and see if it's a part of us that's kind of living there, or if it's actually a critter. Now, the reason I am describing critters as they can sound like parts is because if you look at that manager part, oftentimes they can very much sound like that. And they kind of whisper in your ear, and it's kind of like, that doesn't feel like me. That doesn't sound like me. And they do not love at all. They have no self-compassion. They have no compassion for anybody. A lot of people might even describe them as evil things that come in. I'm not saying we're like possessed by the devil or anything like that, but it would be things that, when we get stuck in those addictions, that thing is just like dragging us down. If we are having relationship struggle after relationship struggle after relationship struggle, it's keeping us chained in this certain place. And so what I love to do is go in with parts work and figure out where those places are so that we can unchain those things and kick them out, defeat them, destroy them, so that we can have a better understanding of who we really are at our core without those things. And those things can even become attached to parts of ourselves. And so unattaching them from parts of ourselves, there is so much that we are unaware of in that place. And so that's the work that I love doing, is working with those things and finding those out. I know it kind of sounds really weird, but we're just using a dream language to help our minds and our bodies process through all of the stuff that has either happened to us or our thoughts or whatever we want to process through, and to be able to have that and to be able to fight it. That's something that we have to do daily. It's part of why we have that shield as our logo. It's because that's our first line of defense, right? Now, if you are going to try to Google, which I Google stuff all the time, and I did this actually before I put this video up, but if you are to Google anything about critters and IFS, you're not going to find a whole lot. And I didn't learn about it until I was probably a year into learning about internal family systems. Now, there are level certifications and all of that. I am not any of that. They may talk about it more in that. I just don't know. But they have this thought that critters are not very... they have this thought that critters are not very prevalent. And I would say that the opposite is probably true, that more often than not, there are these critters that come in to get in the way. And this is how we can interact with them and how we can remove them from ourselves. I'm not saying we aren't still going to have struggles in this world, but can we make it a little bit less hard? Can we make it a little bit comfortable for ourselves, even when we're uncomfortable? And so if we're going to go into this, what I am calling, you can call it whatever you want, the spiritual realm, to look at these things, it's amazing what you can come away with. So I just wanted to put this out there a little bit. And if you are having some struggle, whatever that may be, and you've tried all different kinds of therapy, you may have even tried parts work with people before, but you haven't come at it from this perspective, reach out. I would love to work with you if that's what you're looking at and you're wanting to dig into that deep spiritual realm kind of place where you want that lasting peace. Thank you.